Does your bloody and painful life prevent you from making the most of all the incredible opportunities that are out there to live a life full of adventure, full of meaning, of passion, of purpose? Welcome aboard. I was very privileged recently to have been invited to the Tower of London Keys ceremony, which is basically a hundreds and hundreds of year old tradition where the Tower of London is locked down. It's really quite a wonderful experience, and the waiting list I think is about 2 years. But I was invited by a friend of mine who's an ex-military paratrooper, and I went along and I met these incredible individuals who are serving in the military now and who have served in the military in the past. Now, there are so many of those individuals that I'd like to talk to, but one particular inspiration was a guy called Martin Hewitt. Now, Martin was shot in the shoulder in 2007 in Helmand province. The bullet went through his shoulder, as I say, and hit an artery, and he was bleeding to death. And he talks about that experience in such an incredible way, and he told me about it when I was stood there in the bar inside the Tower of London, and it just sent goosebumps around my body. But he decided at that moment that he didn't want to die. So despite the fact that he was passing out and the blood was pumping out of his shoulder, couldn't get a bandage on it at all, he managed to hold his fingers on it until help came along. And he convalesced in the hospital, the military hospital afterwards. But he decided that he wasn't going to let that injury stop him from achieving incredible things in life. He had a number of operations to try to reconnect the nerve, but that didn't work. But he ended up becoming a downhill skier in what they call the adaptive form, i.e. people who've had these injuries, and he represented Great Britain. He also set up his own business to be a motivational speaker, to talk about leadership and how we overcome the difficulties in life and make the most of every opportunity that comes along. And now he runs full-time a charity, a business that helps support people with injuries like him and other physical ailments to do these incredible things around the world, to climb some of the highest peaks, Mount Everest and other peaks around the world. He's also walked unsupported to the North and the South Poles, and he really is quite an exceptional inspiration. I also found it absolutely fascinating when Shady, who is one of the yeomen at the tower, was telling us the stories of all the bloody and horrible incidents that have happened there over hundreds of years. Kings and queens and noble people, as well as everyday people like us, having their heads chopped off or being tortured, being hung, drawn and quartered. Absolutely fascinating. Isn't it interesting that we are fascinated by all that gore and all that bloodiness, as long as it's not right in the moment of our particularly difficult emotions? I was actually talking to a friend of mine recently saying how cruel it is, isn't it, that we have such extreme levels of emotion. Sometimes we're full of passion and excitement and wonder for life, but those times seem to be over so damn quickly, don't they? And yet when we're full of fear or upset or guilt, remorse, resentment, you name it, they seem to go on forever and ever. But it makes me realize actually that we are only limited by our identity when we're caught in the moment by something, and understanding that actually when we give ourselves time and space, we can start to reflect really effectively and do the amazing things like Martin does now. And it may also seem that someone like Martin is of that extreme level of achieving things that we may never be able to keep up with someone like that. But I know when I walk down the street or when I talk to somebody in a cafe, how inspirational just the everyday person is, just like me. And if we take a moment to actually listen to them, we realize actually that they're just encouraging us to make the most of our lives as well. So what do you think about your bloody and painful past? Is it preventing you from leading that life full of adventure, of experience and discovery, to go to places you never imagined you could go to. Because I believe that's possible for all of us. And I believe that we have created these identities for ourselves, and society has created our identities that limit us from achieving wonderful things in life. Martin is a great inspiration, but so are you too, so am I. We all are, and we're actually all responsible for looking out for each other. Are you reflecting carefully on your past, on that bloody and painful element? Are you seeing it as an opportunity to do something special in life? Well, let me know in that box below. I'd always love to hear your comments, of course. If you're interested in finding out how I can support you to discover those incredible things that you're capable of doing, of making the most of your potential, then if you navigate to my website, www.benlefleming.com, you'll see that I have various coaching offers, and I support not only the aviation industry, but the wider community as well. I have a newsletter which comes out every month where I share some tips and some tricks and some amazing stories about inspirational people. I also have a podcast called Uncovering the Aviation Mindset, which is definitely not exclusive to people in aviation. A lot of it is a metaphor for how we live life generally. And as I've said already, I really do appreciate your feedback. So let me know your thoughts and comments. In the meantime, until the next video, until we meet again, I wish you all the very best, and please remember to keep it in the greens.